are live, so you know.
Test, test. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to the Monday meeting of the City of Bethlehem Planning Commission. My name is Rob Milosky. I apologize for my voice allergies and getting over a little cold. I'm the chairman of the meeting. Other Planning Commission members include on my immediate left, Mr. Matt Malozzi and Mr. Eddie Burgos. We ask anyone in attendance at this time, silence your cell phones. We have a small agenda. We will go through the agenda as listed. The applicant will have an opportunity first to present the project, followed by our city staff making any comments necessary from the memo. From there, Planning Commission members will have an opportunity to deliberate, ask questions, and then we will open it up to any public comment, public questions. If there is any public comment, we ask that you sign your name and address for the record. I believe up here on the table or on the podium, there is a sign-in sheet. We ask that you keep your comments, questions under a 5-minute time limit, and please be concise and avoid repeating previously made questions or assertions. We'll have one more final deliberation. Our decision is made on the saldo, along with other public zoning ordinances, the administration's input, the public good. I'm going to call our first agenda item the approval of the April 10th, 2025 minutes. Any discussion on the minutes as written? And I will entertain a motion.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the April 10th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting minutes as written.
Mr. Malozzi, motion made. Second.
Second.
Mr. Burgos, roll please.
Mr. Burgos.
Yes.
Mr. Malosky.
Yes,
Mr. Malozzi.
Yes.
minutes approved. Our agenda item is a land development plan located at 817, 821, 823 West Broad. Will the applicant introduce yourself? Have your items ready to go? You may begin. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Drew Nyman of Base Engineering as a project manager for this, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant for the project. You guys may remember, I believe it was about a year ago, there was a sketch plan that
Yes.
we brought before you that it was a lot more expansive than what we're doing now. That it had a big building expansion on the southern side. Now we're just using the two existing buildings as is, restoring them and converting the insides to apartment dwellings of seven in the 821 West Broad Street structure and 4 within the 817. And we are improving the southern side of the lot to add parking. Some is already existing, which almost all the parking lot in 817, the southeastern portion of the 2 lots, and the garage is to remain now. We will have 11 total units. We're proposing, the plan that we had submitted was 21, which now, after having a meeting with Craig earlier today, going through one of the comments that had to do with the previous zoning decision, that with the buffer yard on the eastern portion of the property, that we will now, instead of having the proposed pavement going to 2.5 foot of the buffer yard, now we'll just use the existing surface that is there, that's approximately between 4.5 and 5.5 along the side there.
Mr. Pfeiffer, is that on the memo under zoning 1A?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll now have 20 proposed units, with 11 units and 20 parking spaces, and required is 17 parking spaces. So we'll have an excess of that. And There's no stormwater management on the site. It'll just have improvements. The only structure that we're constructing is proposed stair tower on the southwestern corner of 821 West Broad, which is just the same as the zoning decision was. It's 13 foot instead of the 15 foot, which stays with the integrity and the actual dimensions of the existing building itself. And we have an ADA ramp going into that structure because one of the units on the first floor is ADA compliant. So we'll have that going into that unit. And then other than that, if we go through the letter itself, basically all the comments will comply. There really wasn't any design issues whatsoever. There were just a few of adding an extra street tree that doesn't exist right now and potentially replacing one of them. With the discussion that we had with Craig earlier with the dumpster area, instead of where it is now almost on the property line, we'll just be adding that to where I believe it was space 4, that since we're now using the existing, everything's scrunched in a little bit, that we'll just, instead of having a space there, we'll just put the dumpster enclosed area up there well within all the setback lines.
So if I'm recalling it again, I remember when you were here for sketch plan review, and obviously a lot of change has occurred with that. So the two buildings as they stand with renovations, revitalization, what it may be. Mr. Piper, can you pull up the street view? Because from what I recall, the one building in particular had a pretty good meld with the other buildings along Broad. Is there any detail that you can expand upon? Any right there, the one on the left, the one on the right, from what I remember, was the one that was in pretty bad shape.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, that was the one that
my
was
right, I'm facing. So the red brick one was the one that was kind of, a concern to try to maintain the structure. And the one that is the white, I'll say beige and red, was the one that initially I thought was, you guys were talking about knocking it down. So is there any discussion in terms of maybe a rendering, what materials, what the appearance will be like, especially on the one that is kind of white and beige?
Gary, I know you didn't expect to speak tonight, but Gary later is here. He is the architect. That's.
I think Gary was here a year ago by himself, if I remember. Gary, we kind of let you have it there a little bit, but
we did not bring in any renderings. But I think if you give Gary a second, he
absolutely,
might
Mr. Pepper. Yes,
address that issue a little bit. You want to sit up here?
Yeah, because
speak into the mic. I know you weren't expecting this one.
So essentially, the question is materiality of the exterior.
yeah. I mean, talk to me about especially both buildings, but
Mhm.
the one that was emphasized last time you were here, Gary, was the one that was discussed to kind of be removed. What kind of renovations, especially from the street view, will be done to?
Well, sure. I mean, really, the intention all along has been to restore the building, and right now there's some minor brick pointing that will need to be done. There's some slate work on the roof that will need to be done, and what we're expecting to do is do maintenance and repairs as needed, and then paint. Otherwise, the appearance of it should really remain unchanged, other than we're going to have a building that hopefully is going to be,
Right. Am I
restored.
correct in saying that currently, or at that time,
Mhm.
was being used as, I want to say, a halfway house or something like that? Is that correct?
it was a boarding house.
Okay.
Mhm.
How many rooms are currently in there now? And then how many will it be?
There's a bit of a dispute. The city records show a permit for 14, but there were at one time 17 different rooms that were being occupied by individuals.
Okay. And How many will?
Reduced to 7
7.
at
Yep.
at that location.
Right.
How about on the other?
That
I'll
was-
call the green and red building.
Yeah, that'll become 4 units.
Yep, that'll only be 4
4.
units. Yep.
Right.
A lot of change in the appearance from the street view for that building, or
No, I mean, that's one of the goals really is to really just try and maintain the exterior
yeah,
of these
I
buildings.
think that was a consensus by the group last time. We were trying to preserve that appearance there with that.
Yeah,
You know? And you said you're fine with complying to everything that's in the letter, in the memo.
Yep.
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer, anything
should I give it back?
from the
Yeah, you're welcome.
administration from the May 1st memo?
Yeah, just a couple items. Just to highlight for you, this letter is ostensibly clean when the project reduced significantly in its scope. That took away many of the previous comments. They're still going to be required, and the applicant still has to reply to the May 1st, 2025 letter. But they'll need to provide us with a legal description for the consolidated parcels. They'll need to provide architectural floor plans and an elevation for the rear of the property at 82123, identifying the stair tower and the proposed materials. They'll also need to provide us with an opinion of probable cost estimate so that we can prepare the developer's agreement. Both water and fire had a similar question, and that was if the buildings were proposed to be sprinklered, and if so, then there were some conditions that they both had that are listed on page 2 of your letter. We've already discussed zoning item 1A. And then lastly would be some comments from the Environmental Advisory Council, the EAC. It's always nice when somebody commends a developer for doing work. So I will just point out that they commend this developer for preserving and reusing both structures. They do ask for bicycle parking and, if possible, sheltered bicycle parking. They ask for EV charging stations, and if possible, if they can't be installed now, if conduit could be provided so that they could be installed in the future.
And you did mention the ADA ramp, which is often a request that the Ms. Rothman, the chair of the EAC,
Just-
makes.
And following up on the sprinkler question, so you know, that
Yes.
both buildings will be sprinklered.
Yep.
So those
Both will.
both will be, so that will be a will comply.
Yeah, so I'll be on the revised plans. We'll have both the domestic and fire lines for both.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Pfeiffer?
I don't have anything as of right now.
Attorney Tesher, you have a.
Just give us a second.
I'll turn it over to the planning commission members. Any planning commission members have any questions or comments for the applicant? Mr. Malozzi, yes.
I probably asked this at the sketch plan, but the existing driveway from 817, is that right out only onto Broad Street?
I'm not sure if it is now, but that's what we're proposing to have it now because it definitely should just be a right out.
Okay, is that noted on, like, because
Yes.
I would imagine that's a safer condition. I was there, and I don't think presently there's any signage or anything that
Okay.
says that
Yeah,
it's.
that's how, if you can see on that you have some of the symbols up near that of, I believe it's a D, A,
This-
and E, that there's a table somewhere on that plan that
Yep.
says what all the signage is, and it's a stop sign, right out, and also do not enter coming down Broad Street.
Mr. Yandams here are one of our city engineers. Are you aware? And again, I know this may not be in your wheelhouse, but is that in the plans for that to be only a right out being on Broad Street? I would hope that would be the case.
It wasn't in the review. I believe it's actually on that plan. If Craig, if you just scroll up, I think it
Frank,
might
can
be
you
on the
show
top
that?
left.
Are
It
we
might have the
we need
table.
to make that a right out.
Yeah, it's definitely on the
It's
plan
here?
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like those symbols. There's a table.
The sign
Yes.
table, yeah.
I believe just over on the left on that plan. I believe that table is.
You want me to go here?
Yeah, there's the table there of the different. Yeah, do not enter for that, and also a right turn only. Yep.
Oh, good. Yeah. E.
Got it.
Yep. E.
Okay. Thank you.
So there's no obviously you're not changing anything, so there's no PennDOT review here. There's just the city traffic engineer took a look at it. Okay, good for you. I know, and have you already supplied trip generation calculations?
Haven't, but we'll just supply that with this, that with how the size of this, that only being 20 parking spaces, that at the maximum craziest day possible, you'd have 40 trips, which wouldn't
Yeah.
even come up that high.
We'll provide it. It's not going to trigger, we know in advance it's not going to trigger the study, but we need to
Yeah, we'll provide
substantiate
it.
that. So we'll get the numbers to the city for their review.
And so basically all access into this site's coming off of Schaefer Street through the rear of the
Yes.
property. Okay. In terms of, we could maybe shrink down what we're looking at. Sidewalks, it looks like it's all remaining. And then is that the yellow strip between the two parking lots in each of the properties, is that sidewalk access too? So,
Yep, that's a sidewalk.
okay, so the whole property is pretty accessible then. And could you talk just a little bit about the landscaping, vegetation, this screening between the neighbors? Like, I know on the west side there's an existing wooden fence with some mature trees and everything, and I see there's new plantings
Yes.
proposed there as well too.
Yeah, basically that we have screening along the property line there, and if Craig, I believe it's the last sheet, I believe is landscaping plan, that it'll actually have the exact species of all those, of difference of shrubbery and trees through there. Yeah, there's the table there of what we've got. Combination that we just have the screening along there and also along Schaefer Street, that most of them are like taller shrubs that'll be at least 6 feet high, which was factored in when we did the lighting plan too, to make sure that nothing's seeping onto any of the neighboring properties. And now that at that point we had a decorative fence along the eastern property line, but now in the revision we won't need that. The fact that there's actually a bushes like hedge that goes the entire way down, now that we're going to just be using the existing surface as is, that will just remain that and just have a rolled curbing along there instead of digging anything up, putting concrete curbing. That'll be easy to just have asphalt.
Okay.
From there.
And in terms of the parking spaces, I know you've already eliminated one, so it dropped from 21 to 20. It's rare, other than a healthcare network, to have more parking than required. Is that your intent? Just for guests or?
Yeah, guests or anything like that. And the fact that they could be like numbered, so could have them in a certain spot that if a family maybe had additional cars, and they could maybe have that. It's never bad to have an extra just few
Yeah,
spaces so that it can maybe stay out of the road and whatnot for visitors. And
I don't know what the, what the preferences or the experiences here in the city, but most of the apartment projects that I've been involved with and work on, even though we meet the parking requirements as specified for the number of units, it's usually there's an ask for additional parking spaces for guests. And so we thought that, it is a little bit more impervious, but I think it's going to benefit that people aren't going to be trying to find street parking necessarily because there's some additional spots in the lot.
Understood. And you got a Atlanta bus stop right out front.
Perfect. Yeah.
5 routes. Yeah. So, well, that's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Mr. Pfeiffer, do you mind pulling up again the Google from the top? See the back.
Do you prefer that one
Yep.
or that one?
The first one. Thank you. Any other questions from the Planning Commission? Comments?
The hedge,
Attorney Tesler?
the hedgerow on the eastern side,
yes,
right, that will be reflected in the revised
yes,
plan. Okay. And that is the functional equivalent of a decorative fence. Yes.
yep, screening for that buffer yard.
Very good. Okay. Nothing else.
Anyone here in attendance have any questions or comments as it pertains to the land development plan on 817, 821, 823 West Broad? Yes, again, if you don't mind, please come, introduce yourself, and then when you're finished, you can sign in. Name and address, please.
Thank you. Fred Chamberlain. I own 807 West Broad. Small private practice, small business. And I guess a couple comments and questions. Last that was mentioned at the zoning meetings, you were talking about the fence. Now it sounds like you've changed back to maintaining the hedges.
Yep.
Okay. So I realized that you had the owner had surveyors come in, and I mentioned it during zoning. I'm not sure if that was one of the reasons, but I had it surveyed myself because the markers that showed up infringed on what I thought was my property. I had AASA do a survey, and I guess I just wanted it recorded because I'm not sure if it was during zoning, that there's about a foot difference in discrepancy there. But I suppose if the hedges are staying, that's kind of a non-issue.
Yeah, that was now that I had said that I had discussions with Craig earlier today about the fact that we're just, instead of having just 2.5 feet the impervious to the property line, now we're just going to keep the existing pave as is
Okay.
there. So there's no reason to, if we're not encroaching into that shrub bush area, just keep it as is.
Okay.
As long as the screening's adequate.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess I was curious about a noise buffer, but that would probably take care of the privacy as well. Since the property goes about, it looks like about 1.5 feet, 2 feet from the hedges, does that mean that I no longer have to worry about maintaining those those things? The owner of the complex will be taken care
Yeah,
of.
well, if it's located on, you're indicating that it's located on his property.
Yes.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
he's got to
Then,
maintain
yep.
them.
Okay. All right.
Or you'll call
Um,
the city, I'm sure.
Just curious, I probably wasn't paying attention during the zoning, or maybe I just missed it. When you brought up the dumpster, is it possible to bring up that image? I'm curious where on the property in comparison, because the structure that I work out of is pretty close to the property line. It's only maybe 3 feet. Will that dumpster be close to my building? My concern is smell or nuisance with that placement.
It's basically where that parallel spot was right now, 4, that it'll be all screened and basically the exact same way that it was going to be,
Hmm.
but just in that area now.
Just for my sake, is it possible to put up the image, the aerial image, satellite image, I guess it would be, of the overhead? Sorry. All right. So my property is to the right,
Yes.
and compared to the back, I guess, lower left-hand corner of my property, is it close to the building? Is it
It's
closer to the
slightly
back?
It's basically, actually, I can show you this, that I made a sketch for Craig today that I'll actually show you exactly where.
Okay.
I think it's here. It's basically consistent with. It's not like wedged next to it.
I thought it was back here.
This is-
That plan?
Where is it located on the sketch, on the,
On the plan, it's right about here.
out where?
Yeah, right about
Yeah.
here on the
and he
plan.
probably-
So it's
He's
not,
saying we're
it's
gonna
not
move it
near
over.
his.
critters back there, so I
don't know if
No, he's proposing to move it right about here.
If
Yeah, we
there's
can
any
definitely
allowance
look
for
into
that,
Yes.
that would
So
be
that's what I was
appreciated.
saying. So
That's
what are you saying? Move the parking, the spaces, slide the spaces up and put the dumpster further to the rear, to the south of the property.
I appreciate
Is
it.
there,
So the
can we
request,
explain the reason for the location of the dumpster?
That it's just, I mean, it's close in proximity to both structures. It's not too far away, and it's also going to be on where existing blacktop already is.
I'm confused, Mr. Pfeiffer, with the mouse. If you don't mind letting him know where it is.
This was the proposal,
Right
and now
there.
it's being proposed
Yeah.
to this location.
Yes,
Why?
just because.
I would
one of the
think,
comments was-
Currently, are sanitation trucks utilizing Schaefer? Yes or no? They are. Okay, so the sanitation goes through Schaefer. So here you have it being moved kind of at a midway
Yeah.
point closer to Broad, which is going to, be a little bit more
Yeah, one way to help that though is the fact that it would be a little tight, the fact that it is a full dumpster and it's facing towards the garage instead of towards Schaefer itself. So instead of just having a 24 feet, that it'll be much easier to swing in to get to where the new location would be, that would be about 32 feet if I had to estimate that. It would be much easier for them to get squared on into the dumpster itself instead of just 24 feet.
And can you accommodate what you and Mr. Chamberlain were talking about in terms of, I guess, moving the dumpster further to the south?
Yeah.
From his, and still retain the 3 parking spaces that we have?
Should be able to. Yep.
No, sometimes
Would that be your preference?
That would, yeah, that would
Much closer
definitely
to
be.
the garage area.
July, August would
So-
not be my
So
favorite time.
we
in
can
the back.
accommodate. Mr. Chamberlain has asked if we could, if we are going to locate and it's acceptable to the planning commission to have the dumpster towards the east side of the property, we will move it further to the south by the existing garage. So it's further away from the building that he's working out of.
Yeah, we can perfectly fine to put it where we have right now. That's parking space 1. You can go there where it's.
Right.
We'll
next
move
to
the
where
parking
garage
space,
area
we'll move the
is.
parking spaces to the north and
Slide them
put the,
Still have 3. So
Right
then it
there?
could go right there.
yes.
So just flip them.
That way it's away from his structure and it's still on existing paved area.
Okay.
Be a tight turn.
Yeah.
I think it would be easier to pick
And,
up from Schaefer.
Again, I don't want to get into discussion on sanitation companies in the city of Bethlehem. What type? Is it a dumpster, or are we talking about totes that are going to roll out? Because I would think that if you're using a tote that rolls out, whether it's 2, 3, 4, I would think that having them as close to Schaefer as possible would
Yeah, that's
probably be smart. And whatever sanitation company is being used out of the numerous that our city utilizes, it might be easier for them.
Yeah, that's how right now we have it proposed as an actual dumpster, but we can take that feedback back to the
I mean,
applicant.
especially the fact that
More
you're downsizing to
right.
11 units, right?
And if they need that, we could just actually minimize the size of that pad to stay out of because one of the comments was it was slightly encroaching into the right of way there. So we were going to need to at least slide up the parking about a foot and a half on that parking area. But the fact that we're now not using parking space 4, it was like that would be a good place potentially for it. But
Okay.
now hearing that, yeah, we can definitely work with putting it somewhere else. But if it is more just the rolling
Right.
totes, that we could still probably put it in that area to make it easier and just make the.
That makes sense, Mr. Chamberlain.
Yeah, it's certainly preferable to where it is now.
Anything else?
Just my big things were the dumpster and the survey line. So I guess that would be it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. If you don't mind signing in. You have a question or comment? Do you mind coming up, please? Give your name and address for the record. And then when you're done, you can sign it.
Kathleen Russo, 548th Avenue, Bethlehem. First, I'd want to know, make a suggestion. If we're going to talk about dumpsters, if everybody can comment on dumpsters, and then if we want to switch to another topic and everybody comment on that instead of going back and forth about like 10 different issues, it could get, I think we might be able to, maybe we can get down to answers on at least some of the, what do you think?
I'm confused.
Okay.
What are you asking? The way we're running the meeting isn't appropriate, or
No, I don't know how it's being.
it's your time to make comments or ask questions, so please do so.
Is it my time to ask questions on every topic?
Start. Go ahead. Where do you feel it's most important to start?
Okay. What's most important is for me to answer your questions, that the information that you need to base your decision on. It's more important to me than everything that's bothering me, because some things that bother me may be unimportant to you. So I don't know. Does my property line, does it matter to you that I am appealing the zoning ordinances that zoning board granted this project? I am actively appealing that. I don't know if that,
There is an appeal filed in Lehigh County Court by Ms. Russo, and that has no bearing on the application going forward. The applicant is permitted under the MPC to proceed at his risk.
That is correct.
that's fine.
Attorney Deschler.
I'm not saying he can't do this. I'm just saying, I don't know if you're aware of it. As far as the property line, I do dispute the property line. Done that since the beginning. I don't know if you'd like some notes. You can go over it later. See if any of these items that I'm pointing to bother you.
You can just go into detail on what you feel is
I tried,
disputed
yeah.
property line.
Okay. I went over all of the details, and what it looks like to me is, when I look at the whole block, our old property line markers and the old indicators all draw a coordinated map where our property lines are all slanted a bit. And, but contrary to that are the GPS surveys. Those results are different. They're all straight lines. I still have my original marker. It's exposed. I lived in my home for 30 years. It's always been exposed. Nothing's been altered there to disturb it. I am in line with the border there on the west side. And when we look at it, they still have the property line between the corner property and my property is off by 10 feet. Said that since July. Some of the pictures, it looks like it's corrected. Most of them, it is not. That was one of the issues with zoning, deciding about this 2-foot. They argued that they're already encroaching 2 feet because of the that little 2-foot bump out. But that bump out doesn't encroach on my property. And I brought pictures that you can look at that clearly show that bump out has nothing to do with my property. So they're not already encroaching. Because I need my glasses again. Let's see. Yep, their location map, little location map, it shows our property divide at an angle, as it should be, because my lot is just 1 foot wider than the corner properties. The vicinity map on their paperwork is at the same angle. My home is built at an angle, same angle. The iron pipes that run from on the western side between 821 and this property, where his surveyor detected the iron pipe and where my iron pipe still rests, that's an angle. The line they drew, 4 feet, approximately 4 feet closer to my house, perfectly straight. In fact, that iron pipe that's between the corner property though and this project was recently, and recently I mean like within the last 10 months during this whole process, it was ripped from the ground. I didn't know what it was. I had a surveyor. He explained to me what it was. It's still there. Somebody ripped it out. I don't know why. On some of the drawings, the sewer lines to both of these properties appear to be at a slight angle. I don't see that everywhere, so I don't know if that's at an angle or not. The very, very old chain link fence that's been there before I moved in 30 years ago. It was 30 years when we had our first planning committee meeting here in July. That was my 30-year anniversary of owning my home. Big turning point there. But anyway, the chain link fence between that corner property and the 821, 823 is at an angle in line with our iron pipes. However, they still draw the line straight. The old wood fence between 821, 823, between that twin and 817 had a zigzag in it. I have pictures. I have pictures where I measured it and everything. It used to be closer to 817 on Broad Street, and then closer to my house on the alley. It did a zigzag. And there was nothing to explain it. There was nothing in the way. There's nothing to make it zig or zag. It didn't connect it to anything. Other than it brought it like 3.5, 4 feet closer to my house at the alley. Along the, say, 821, 823 western property line along Broad Street, there's a new rebar cap. Let's see. Okay, I did explain that part already. Okay. And that's where they're drawing a straight line and I'm working, everything's still in the same angle for me. That's where our 4-foot difference is. I have pictures of, here's my iron pipe. Here's where they put their rebar. Now my problem is when I hired a surveyor, they come out there, they use a metal detector, there's rebar, that's iron. He's not allowed to rip that out and see if there really is an iron pipe down there. Most likely there isn't. It was probably just done by GPS. At Broad Street between those two properties, it says on the plan, between 817, along the property line, I'll wait till you're ready. Are you ready? Okay. The property line that they want to erase with lot consolidation, at Broad Street, I've looked. I don't see any kind of marker. Says that they detected an iron pipe. I don't know. But at the alley, that line where they want to erase, they say they detected a pipe, but it's their own pipe. They put in a small pipe. Like I said, my surveyor can't tell. Is there another pipe under there or not? Nobody dug to see if there's a real pipe there. He can't pull it out and dig down to see if there's a real pipe there. And if you look at the macadam, it's been cut there several times, repatched. The garage was built. There's been a lot of work done right there. There's also in that same area piles of busted up concrete, metal, just thrown right there, right where they put the new rebar, the new pipe in.
And those, that specific property line that you're talking about is
erased. That's the one they want to erase.
Is in between the two buildings,
correct.
which is not your property.
Correct.
It's not your property, right? Thank you.
Can I just
I'm arguing about the line. I'm concerned that property line.
I know.
Just a second.
The point I'm trying to make is boundary line disputes are private matters between landowners. The code requires us to submit a certified plan certified by a professional engineer in the state of Pennsylvania, which we've done. I'll sit and listen. If you want to continue to sit and listen, I'm fine with that because I've sat through this process, but we've never been contacted by her land surveyor or her engineer to review what we've done.
Mr. Lader, when you contacted me and this was something I brought up, was that something you were allowed to discuss?
I'm going to jump in because quite honestly, the last part you talked about really shouldn't be brought up.
Okay.
It's in between the property that they have. So when it comes to property lines, and Attorney Desher, if I'm wrong here, please jump in.
Okay.
I can't answer for how things were staked, piped back in 1952
Correct.
and how they're drawn now.
Right.
I would say that be something that contact the city and have your surveyor contact. But
You advised me that last July.
the bottom
and I did.
bottom line, and I think I remember saying this, what is it that concerns you the most
Okay.
other than property lines and rebar and what have you? Is it you feel they're impeding on your land? Yes or no?
Yes,
Okay.
4 feet.
And as Mr. Piperato said, I agree with this. The city and the planning commission review the plans before them. We assume their correctness. If you believe, for example, that that the lot lines are misdrawn, that they're somehow not reflective in the recorded deeds, that, as Mr. Piperato said, is a private matter. You can consult an attorney to seek appropriate action against the landowner. It is not a consideration of this body when it either votes to approve or deny a land development, or in this case, a land development and lot consolidation plan. It is simply not a consideration
Okay.
passed on by this body.
Okay. If I can just briefly say, the only times that Mr. Piperato has offered to discuss any of these problems with me is here in front of you. The only
Mrs. Russo,
thing, hold on,
you're represented
hold
by
on.
counsel who's sitting in the
Please,
audience. I can't
please.
speak to you, just so you understand that. I am not permitted to speak to you because you are represented by
We
counsel.
emailed back and forth.
Okay, excuse me,
Please let me.
our role, no, I'm going to tell you what our role is and then piggyback off of what Attorney Tesher said.
Okay.
When we are given a plan, we are given a plan by the city administration, knowing that what is on here is said. Anyone has the right to come in and, quote, argue or present what they may feel is factual. What we are provided by the city is what we have to go by. So if there's anything else other than property lines,
Please.
or I'm gonna have you please be quick with it. If you heard me at the beginning of the meeting, which I wasn't sure if you did come in the beginning, but we're trying to adhere to a 5-minute time limit. That's why we try to adhere to having questions and comments right now, rather than, as you put it, should we talk about garbage now? And then should we talk about
Yeah,
this
I
now?
thought we
So
were just
if you don't
solving-
mind, finish up and continue with the comments and questions that you have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. One thing, I don't know, did I miss information about that retaining wall? There's a retaining wall along our property line, I see.
Yes. Along the proposed.
I don't know what that is or why it is, or,
Just because of the way the grading is, it's very steep along that area to flatten. It's only going to be, I think, if you go to the grading.
What material is it? What's it going to be made of?
It's only like 2 feet at the most.
And the material,
I believe it would just be concrete. I believe.
brick, concrete, or
But I believe that the grading plan should show the spot elevations between the two. I believe, I remember, if you zoom into the bottom left corner of the
Detail.
top of wall and bottom wall, it might even be less than 2 feet. Yeah, it's about 1.5 at the highest peak of that wall. Just because all of it there's just a little high point area there.
may I ask?
So it's-
I'm
it's
trying to
less than the size of a
understand,
curve.
is the retaining wall, and then you're going to level the soil with the top of the retaining wall? Is that how that works? Or no?
It's basically where the high point is on the
Alley.
western side. So it's basically, we would put the parking lot in, it's soil retaining wall about 1 foot, and then here's the parking lot.
Okay, so there'd be, okay, I get it. now.
That's where the trees are going to be planted.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we still have to work on that lot line. Okay, I'm concerned that this new plan, I mean, the first plan that they presented a plan with the 4th floor. It was too tall. It's against fire code. They knew they couldn't build it.
that was in a sketch plan review. It's irrelevant.
Actually,
It's-
we could build it.
This would be
and-
very short.
We're not,
I swear, very brief.
the plan in front of us doesn't have
I
that.
swear, it's very brief. The fact that then they presented a plan that they couldn't build.
That's
Right
irrelevant.
now, I think
It's
that,
irrelevant.
I think that tonight, they are not presenting what they do plan on building. I don't believe,
Do you have any other questions or comments other than opinion or what you think?
Why is hold on, wait, this is better. Who made the decision and why did they make the decision that he gets to keep the variance to build that fire tower too close to my property? How was that arrived at?
Variance was granted by zoning,
That
Attorney
variance was
Castro.
granted by the zoning hearing
But
board.
this is
Zoning hearing board.
I mean, the city took,
significantly altered plan. Why?
the
did he
city,
just
sorry, the
get
city took no
carried?
position on the variances. I wasn't there. It's my
Right.
understanding that Mr. Piper, that there were variances granted. I presume that those are the ones that were appealed from, as the resident has said.
Correct.
Why does he get to carry that variance to this plan, which is significantly altered?
The portion of the property that was the subject of the variance on the west side of the property along her property line is the same. It's the same structure. It's the same tower. It's the same stair tower at that location. Nothing's changed in that regard. It's the same location.
Some things
same-
changed, though.
Are there some variances that are moot with the revised plan? Is it-
Well, one of them we kind of withdrew by virtue of the fact, and that was in Craig's review letter, number 3A, I believe it was, or was that 1A or?
the
Yeah,
eastern
1A under
property
zoning.
line.
So that's not an issue, but that was on the east side. There were only there were 3 variances granted. The 2 that are still outstanding is the no commercial unit on the first floor, which they granted us a variance for, obviously because of the front of the buildings, how high they were and all that kind of stuff. And then the variance on the western side, which was, I think, from 15 feet to 13 feet, they granted us a 2 feet variance. That's under appeal. Mrs. Russo, she filed an appeal. That's in Lehigh County Court. In fact, I think her brief is due next Thursday on that matter. So the court will be making a determination on that.
Sure.
The way I look at it is, I think that if zoning looked at this plan, they might not make the same decision for that fire tower, or I'm sorry, stair tower, because I don't know if they would think that you need a stair tower for a 7-unit apartment building. I can see where they may have thought you need it for a 7-unit apartment building attached to the stair tower, attached to another 7-unit apartment building. But for only 7, that might be overkill. You might get away with the same fire escape or something similar that you have right now. I don't think the city would require a stair tower for this 7-unit apartment building. Didn't require one for the rooming house that might have had 17 bedrooms, may have had 12, 15, 14, I don't know. But it might not need a stair tower at all. And I'm wondering why they want to keep a stair tower. Why do you want to invest that much money into a stair tower when you can get away with a fire escape?
Trying to provide
You don't want my
references.
opinion.
You're trying to provide.
I believe it's attached to attach the 7
Do
units.
you have any other questions or comments?
Yeah.
Also, I wonder why they chose to put the handicap ramp where they chose to put it. You could put the stair tower, if that's what you prefer, instead of a fire escape. You could put that on the other corner. You swap it over there. And if you put the handicap ramp where you now have the stair tower, that, I have pictures, side, front, that soil is nearly level to the concrete porch floor. I imagine you'd replace that. It's nearly level there. You don't need that long ramp. Where you have that ramp going, you're coming out of there's 3 concrete steps down out of that door. So you're starting at a higher point, or, more angled point. And then you're headed east, downhill, down grade. And that's what's making that ramp so long and needing to cross the property line.
So if I may,
If the ramp was over here, you wouldn't have to cross the property line. Maybe you don't have to consolidate the
I mean,
lots.
the applicant retained an architect, the applicant retained an engineer. And this is the design that they came up with, and this is the design that's before the planning commission. This is the design as it pertains to the western property line that was before the zoning hearing board in terms of the variance request. The zoning hearing board made its decision, it's on appeal. And if she's successful, then it has to be changed. But
Right.
at this point, that's the
Right.
preference. of
We're
the
not
applicant.
going to go down that road just yet. And that's not in our,
Yep,
that's
understand.
not up to us.
I don't know what
So,
does the planning committee base their decision for whether or not to approve a lot consolidation? Do you approve lot
Subdivision.
consolidations that are unnecessary?
Well, ma'am,
Yes.
we look to the subdivision and land development ordinance and the zoning ordinance. If for example, if the lot that is proposed to be consolidated is dimensionally conforming, and it meets all the other requirements in our
What
ordinance.
those are, I've asked. I don't know.
Well, ma'am, they're making the lot.
Please allow him to talk. That's all.
They're making
Thank you.
they're making the lot larger, so I have no doubt that it complies with the minimum lot size requirement in the zoning district. So,
Okay.
and we are bound here by the saldo and by the zoning ordinance. We don't really care if this is somehow quote unquote unnecessary, if the property owner owns both these lots and wants them consolidated, and such a consolidation is compliant with the applicable laws, the motivation of the property owner is entirely irrelevant.
So,
Any other questions?
sure.
We'll give you 2 more minutes. Thank you.
This is going to affect the rest of my life.
I
And you're
understand
going to
that.
afford me 2
I
minutes?
understand that. If you can please, we've had residents in the past, taxpayers in the past who come prepared and get through what they needed to say. I'm trying to convince you to hit the points that are most important.
Would you tell me what would make you say no to this lot consolidation? And I can let you know.
I think Attorney
I-
Dessler answered that.
is
Attorney
there-
Dessler answered that.
didn't really hear an answer. I mean, each individual lot has enough space for the 7 units and the 4 units. Neither
Then why
property
is it an
needs to
issue?
increase.
Why is the fact that they're erasing a lot line an issue for you if you just said that each lot has enough land area to have the number of units on it? What is the issue? I mean, what does a lot line consolidation do to you
I would love to
in
tell
any
you.
respect that otherwise if they were 2 separate lots?
I would love to tell you, but I keep getting stopped from telling you.
There is
Because
nothing.
it's my opinion.
There is nothing. The buildings are
want
still
my
going to be
opinion?
located where they are. The retaining wall is going to be located where it is. Everything's going to be located
I
the
only
same
wanted to
location.
know more information about the retaining wall because it was the first time I saw it and I had no idea what it was about, what it was needed for. That's all. I wasn't complaining about it. Now, can I answer his question of why the lot consolidation concerns me? May I answer that?
I mean, listen,
You did ask me. May I answer?
if
Answer.
there's a violation of the
I'm sorry,
statute-
Mr. Pimpernel. Answer.
My concern is that once he consolidates the lots, like right now, he has every right to build 8 units and 10 units.
Oh.
That's not what he wants to do. He wants to build 14 and 4, which destroys my enjoyment of my property. Now, and it definitely,
Mr.
this is
Pimpernel,
just-
how many units again?
7 and 4.
7 and 4. That's it.
Hold on. But you erase that property
No.
line? It's not. Wait a
No.
minute.
Multifamily.
You
We're here to analyze, vote on, give input on the plan that is in front of us, which is Attorney Dessler, 7 and 4. Correct. That's it. We're not here to say, well, when it's approved, he's going to change that. I'm sure we have
Of course
city
he is.
staff that go out and make sure.
He came
That's
here
the case.
before and showed you
I
units he
understand.
knew he couldn't build. And now he's coming here not
Right.
showing you units he will build.
Right.
And those are that 7-unit addition that he's going to attach to that same stair tower and run it close to my house, protect 817 as much as he can, and shove that burden to me. Depreciate the value of my home.
And I can honestly say, if that's the case, do what you need to do, report, have the city come
This is what I
check.
need to do. I need to
Right.
beg
You need-
you to not allow this lot consolidation. It is not needed.
All right,
He doesn't
Yeah.
need it.
we're moving on.
We're moving on.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Can I tell you about the offers that they made me?
If you don't mind, give your name and address for the record. I'm
You
going to
don't
ask
want
you
the
to,
information.
I'm going to ask you to please move from the
I
podium.
want to know about the 2 offers.
We're
you
not,
made.
we're not here on hearsay of offers or what have you. Okay, that is not
his intent.
well. Again, that's you want to follow that matter on your own privately. Feel free.
So you don't
That's-
you don't use your
I'm not here to discuss hearsay
you don't use
of
your
offers
power.
or what have you.
You don't use your power at all in making your decision based on whether it unnecessarily damages an adjacent. property.
There is
You don't
there
use
is
your
no-
zoning ordinances or
there is
your
no need to get-
decisions.
there is no need to go into power or what have you. I've been sitting here for close to 15 years, and I have a pretty good idea of how things operate and how things are done legally and by right. That's what I can say. And
But
a
you-
lot of, excuse me, now I'm going to talk. I'm letting you talk.
Sorry, sorry.
A lot of people have come in this room, some that are here, some that have voiced their opinion, and sometimes we understand and sigh because it may not be by right. But there's others that come in and that hearsay and what have you, but by right, what the applicant has proposed is allowed. And I understand your concern as a neighbor. I get it. I'm glad you returned. But I don't want this meeting that I'm in charge of running to turn into a circus.
I don't
So
need
I'm
it.
asking you
I don't need it.
to please finalize your comments now. Thank you.
Okay, here's finalize is I'm begging you to not give him more rights. Right now, he has the right to build 8 units and 10 units. And I am not arguing at all that he has the right to build 18 units. Whether I like it or not, it's his right. What I'm arguing is I don't want him to build 14 and 4.
Thank you. Mr. Pfeiffer, is there anything else from the memo that we needed to discuss or anything like that?
There is not.
Anyone else here in attendance? Yes, do you mind come up? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Catherine Bowman, and I live at 534 8th Avenue. I'm here speaking on behalf of my husband and myself. If I could ask you please to pull up the satellite image of the lot, I think that would be useful. Thank you. And we are, let's see. Yes, thank you. So as mentioned, the project has changed dramatically since it was first proposed, and we appreciate a lot of those changes. I did want to take just a moment to mention 3 residual concerns that we have about the new version of the development plans. The most of them center around the dramatic increase of impervious surface from the current state and the reduction of the tree shade and coverage on the overall site. So if you look, it's kind of roughly doubled. And I understand this is like by right, but I'd just like to express kind of how it would affect the people who are living right around it, as well as like concerns of the neighborhood. So if we could go back to the satellite image here. And I know that this is not what it currently looks like, but if you look, you can see the easternmost property, and that is almost entirely in the back, a parking lot. For what it's worth, there did used to be a huge tree there right next to the garage that they're keeping. So it used to have a lot of coverage over that parking lot. But sadly, that was lost when that died and came down. If you look on the property that's behind the boarding house there, and also Miss Russo's, there's a lot of shade there. And a lot of those trees, like one of them is like not in as great health now, but that whole area gets a lot of shade coverage. And that's really, really important to our homes around it because we're older homes. ACs don't work that well. We rely on that passive shade cover, as well as just the beauty and the established neighborhood and things like that. So the idea that some of these would come down on purpose, but in order to allow the construction, and then others would probably be lost due to damaged roots and things like that. And I know we have new landscaping slated to come in, but most of that is not going to provide shade. I know that I started thinking about this more when I attended another meeting from people who live near the Armory development. And they remarked on, even though there's small trees that have been planted around the parking lot, they now get temperatures up to 120 degrees on those surfaces. And I think that we know we have a climate plan that the city is doing, trying to promote good practices that are going to carry us forward comfortably and in a healthy fashion. And I think that paving almost the entire lot there takes away the opportunity to put in any trees that will give serious coverage. So I think that's one of my concerns there. And I think that given that there's more than the required number of parking spaces being offered, I'm wondering if a few of those could be given up to accommodate better tree coverage. I know that the plan has changed slightly with the dumpster, but like I had been looking, and I'm not the architect and all of that, but if you move the whole handicap parking to the south a little bit more, you would have the opportunity to put more grass there. You could potentially grow a bigger tree there, or where they're talking about moving the dumpster to in parking spot number 4, you could potentially sacrifice a spot or two over there, and you would have enough space to grow a tree that's going to provide some shade. I think that's going to serve the neighbors who are already existing, as well as the tenants who would be coming into those buildings. Another thing that's related to the impervious surface is that once again, not an engineer or drainage expert, but I'm wondering how the area will handle the increased runoff from rain, especially given the minimal state of curbs in the alley and the fact that there have been sinkhole issues around there. And we know that, storms are getting worse, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just genuinely wanting to make sure that that is accounted for and that those conditions are, well known and documented. We have curbs on, I think, the south side of the alley, but none of the property, I think, has actual raised curbs. And I couldn't tell from I couldn't quite see from that if they're planning on putting in things, or I don't know elevation, how water will run. And then my last question is regarding our driveway access. I don't really know how to gesture. Right where the search bar is on the bottom, that's kind of where our garage is. And we have a narrow old garage, but it's important to us that we have the use of that garage. And we have a really difficult back out. It's about 2 feet. We back out where like a sidewalk would be. And we have to angle into the blank space there. So that's our property there. We currently back up into the gravel kind of parking area. And while we're not like claiming use, I would want to make sure that the opening that they have set up for the parking lot still allows us to make the turning angle and exit and enter our home. I think it will be okay. We kind of stood out there, but like, I'm not great at reading on the maps. And I would just want to make sure that that would be confirmed along the way when there would be still a chance to fix it so we can still use our home. And I think basically that's it. But my main ask would be to think about, I know that a lot of people have a lot of parking issues. And I think it's really important that everybody who lives there has like a home base. But in terms of visitors and things like that, we do still have parking. And I think that the benefit of finding a way to keep more significant trees and more significant shade, and that would also allow better drainage when the rains come. I think that that would benefit the neighborhood and the tenants a lot more than those extra couple spots.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Bowman. Appreciate your comments. Mr. Pfeiffer, what were you had the landscape plan up earlier. What were the tree types that are being planted? Where
It's at the bottom, correct?
Yes.
I mean, and obviously as they're planted until they grow, if I'm not an arborist by any means, but is it something that can provide or at least fill in some of the lack of shade that will?
Yeah, I would also say that there's no trees that we're proposing to knock down. So everything is just, all the trees that are along the property lines are to stay.
Are staying.
Yes, because we have an 8-foot buffer now between that property.
Are there any trees that currently are on the proposed impervious coverage?
No.
No.
Nope.
There are not. Okay. Mr. Pimperato, is there
That
a
one.
way we can marry their garage entrance exit with the cut-in that you'll provide your tenants?
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, we'll
We'll
look
work
into
with them
that.
on that.
Yeah, and I can also answer the drainage question that you had, that the property slopes from the southwestern corner to the northeastern corner of the site of Broad Street. So all that water is going down that direction. So we're not adding any additional onto the alley
Okay.
whatsoever. Everything's flowing naturally towards Broad Street, just
North.
the way that our property is now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Question.
Mr. Malozzi.
Is there curb proposed along Schaefer Street with the new with your development?
I don't believe so.
No, there is not.
So those driveways into the two parking areas are just delineated paint or just at grade?
Yep,
Is
this
there
what
any
it says.
curbing currently? From what I saw when I went through, I did not.
On the south side.
Yes, yes. On that side of Schaefer, right.
Yep.
And honestly, if curbing is not required and is not put in, that would obviously help with your, sure.
That's how we're proposing curbing a little bit along the middle area of our site and also the eastern corner. So that the neighboring property, we're going to make sure that it's not really needed. The fact that it's already, we're the existing the way that it is, but we're going to improve that area so less water is going towards your backyard area anyway. It's going to go towards that little swale in front of the building. So we'll improve that area also.
Anyone else? Any questions or comments? Yeah, Mr. Yandam.
Even if they want to put curbing to control the water, they can put a depressed curb, so it will still won't affect them pulling into their driveway. It will be like a driveway. So that way they can control their storm water, putting curbing there, and they will still have access.
All right, so Basil, you think, I mean, there's not going to be a problem if we look at what is now the parcel on the left, there can either be no curbing or a depressed curb that will allow for these residents to have access to their driveway across Schaefer. That's not going to, okay, all right.
Thank you. Any other questions by the planning commission? Mr. Burgos,
I have a quick one. So, on your, and I hate to go back as far as the dumpster. My concern is now like with the dump truck coming in or the trash truck coming in at a curb like that, and your blacktop is what, 4.5 inches?
Roughly. Yeah.
My concern now is with the hot weather,
Mhm.
a truck making a turn like that, it's going to be chewing up your blacktop. Is it possible in that area, make it a little thicker?
Yeah, we could put concrete a pad too, instead of just have the blacktop itself. So that the wear is better.
Because, with these hot days, you got a truck coming in, once he starts making that turn, he's going to chew it up and it's going to look nasty after a while. So.
And again, did we confirm that the garbage, I'll call it garbage area, is going to be now at space number 1? Is that correct?
Yeah, if we may, we'd like to have the option of going back to what you were talking about, where it's not an official dumpster.
Yeah.
And maybe retaining the area where it's at, so long as they have access to come out of their garage, so that, it's easily accessible for pickup.
Ms. Bowman, if you don't mind me, I'm sorry, Mr. Pimperata, if you don't mind me asking, I don't need to know what sanitation company you use, but is your sanitation picked up in Schaefer?
So the idea, I think, would be, you're good. Somebody, I think it was you, had a good suggestion about, do we really need a full dumpster there? And if
Right.
we don't, I think we'd like to retain the area where it's currently showing on the
Right.
plan outside of the right of way, so long as it doesn't interfere with their ability to back out. But if there is a dumpster, we would like to locate it in space 1.
Okay. We have that, Mr. Pfeiffer, for the record.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chamberlain.
Just for my own clarification, you point out on there where it would go if it's not going to be a dumpster.
Yes.
It'd be
Where-
on Schaefer.
Yeah, where it's being showed right there, it would just be on a concrete pad there, that it would just be the individual rolled cans if that's the way that it goes. So
Going to be a dumpster.
yeah, we'll put it where 1 is. Yep.
Thank you. Mr. Malozzi.
And Mr. Nyman, where the dumpster pad's located right now, that's curbed right there, right? As it's shown on the plan? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, I believe
That's the only
backside
section
is.
of curb.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe the backside is.
Okay.
Let me double check. But Actually, that side does, I don't believe that side is curbed. It's the area that is curbed for that is, what numbers are those? The left side. But that, yeah, if you zoom in just slightly. Yeah, 10 through 15, there's the curb along that strip where it's kind of dividing how it naturally kind of is flowing between the two. So we're taking half the water between the two existing buildings and then the other half. So yeah, there's
Just-
no curb behind where the
Nothing on
dumpster
Schaefer?
is right now. No.
Okay. Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Maloney?
So we understand then, so the question of the actual location is still up. If it's totes, it's going to be in the back alley, and if it's a dumpster, it's going to be in spot one.
And Mr. Piper,
Oppose that,
if
yes,
we can reflect that
yes, in the.
so that
Yes.
that's the case as we move forward.
Yes.
Thank you.
Couple other clarifications.
Please.
if I'm- Going back to some comments, do I understand? So because it pertains to some of the comments here, both of these buildings will have fire protection in the form of a sprinkler system. Okay. And then the northeast hedgerow that's along Mr. Chamberlain's property, that remains. Turns out it's on the applicant's property, so it's their property to maintain. But that's there in lieu of a decorative fence. That's going to remain there.
Yep. Now that we're not proposing any additional pavement, we'll just keep it consistent the way that it.
We have that for the record, Mr. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks.
We have heard some real good discussion, and obviously this plan has changed significantly from when they were in for a sketch plan review. Many of you have been here in the past for sketch plan reviews, and really what they are is to provide, everyone an opportunity to give some feedback, and the applicant has what I feel adjusted and dealt with it in a way that I think we provided the comments at that time a year or so ago to preserve a little bit of the integrity and the appearance of both structures. So with that said, I will entertain a motion at this time. Question, Mr. Maloney.
Lot consolidation can accompany the.
Yes, this is one that always comes up. I'll pass it to Counselor. Can we put those together as we have done in the past?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Chairman Malosky, I'd like to make a motion to approve the lot consolidation and land development and subdivision application for 817 and 821 to 823 West Broad Street. Condition upon meeting all of the comments contained in the city's May 1st, 2025 review letter, with consideration for the following: that it has been determined that both of the existing buildings will have a sprinkler system fire protection, that the hedgerow at the northeastern corner of the property, that is 817, will remain in lieu of a decorative fence, and that the dumpster location will be discussed with the city to either be in the form of totes in the location shown on the plan currently, or potentially a dumpster at the location currently shown as parking spot 1. And if that is the case for parking spot 1, that'll be a concrete pad constructed there.
Motion made, Mr. Maloney. I will second it. Roll, please.
Mr. Burgos.
Yes.
Mr. Malosky.
Yes.
Mr. Malozzi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck moving forward. Mr. Piper, general discussion items.
Yes, you have the summary of the upcoming PC agenda items in front of you. There's just a couple corrections that I need to bring to your attention. We'll get this cleaned up for the next go around. The first project the first development project, 405 Selfridge, 406-412. We do have comments from city staff due later this month, actually the 16th. I suspect that will result in a clean letter at that point. We will contact the applicant's engineer and request record plans and proceed with a,
Which one was that again?
I'm sorry, this is 405 Selfridge
That's the first
and
one, yes.
406 412 Jackson. This one's been, as you can see by the dates, it's been worked on for quite some time.
Right.
So once we get record plans and we have the developer's agreement, this project will then move forward. It does not need to come back to the Planning Commission. The next project, as you can see, also has been in the works for quite some time. We will, as we get closer to September, make a determination as to how to proceed with that case. The next one is 2105 Creek Road. This has been in a couple different iterations before the city staff. It has now been submitted as of, I believe, yesterday as a minor subdivision lot line adjustment. The applicant is proposing to simply take the line that currently bisects the property parallel with Creek Road to perpendiculars, thereby creating a new parcel for the existing single-family detached dwelling that fronts on Friedensville Road. That expiration will now be August the 6th, but as a minor, it would not come to you. We just talked about 817, 821 Broad Street. It looks like June could potentially be a pretty full agenda. The Evans Street project was before you as a sketch. That will most likely come back to you June 10th. If it does not, then we'll just get an extension from the applicant. 1223 West Broad Street. This is the former bank. It's now a restaurant. That also was before you as a sketch plan, and that most likely will be on the June 10th agenda. 62-68 West Union. This is a sketch plan. The applicant is proposing to remove the 2 existing single-family detached dwellings and construct 8 apartment dwellings on the site, and that sketch will be before you on June 10th. 2355 Avenue A. This one most likely will not come before you, but it potentially could. This is the proposed sheets out by the airport, and we do have comments that are coming out here in the next couple of days for that engineer. The last project is 1224 Eaton Avenue. This also is a sketch plan. This is a proposal to add single-family attached or row houses on a parcel that has an existing single-family detached dwelling. That is everything. I'm sorry.
Anything else? Any other questions, comments?
That wasn't a dramatic pause. That was
No.
just me being done.
Yes, Mr. Malone.
As I noted this a couple of months ago, but I will not be present for the June meeting. I understand it's a packed agenda, so in terms of ensuring quorum, let it be known.
Understood. Understood.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I have a question.
Mr. Burgos.
Why is it when you pave a road and it's nicely paved, all of a sudden the gas company comes in and tears it up?
That's Murphy's Law.
We try to avoid that as much as possible.
Our engineer is still here. Yeah, Basil can handle that one.
I mean, is there
That happens
communication?
all the time. No, we try to communicate, but like sometimes errors has been happening where like BGI had to come back and inspect some of the work that they had done because one of their inspector was not certified or something. That's for example. Sometimes an issue occurs and they have to come dig it up. But if they dig it up again and when it was just paved, they will have to pave it again the way it was before.
Because
But we've been communicating as much as possible,
Okay.
planning ahead with water, sewer, gas before we.
Yeah.
Right.
I understand. It's just,
It's unfortunate. I know what you mean. Yeah.
you know, you,
Yep.
Unfortunately, and it happens. Most of the times also it happens when you have a water breakage or.
Yeah.
sewer breakage.
Right.
that's understandable there, but I mean, if it's just all of a sudden, hey, let's start putting the gas line in, you know?
Yeah.
If only Mr. Barker was here for this.
And the biggest issue is it's not CGI who comes in and decide to change it. A lot of times, and we have been pushing back on this so much, they're like residents. Like literally, just after we paved the road, in 2 months, they come in and go like, oh, I want to switch to gas now.
Yeah.
And they want to dig the road. And this is like, okay, and they come with like no heat. But also we've been pushing like doing curb to curb, maybe not the whole block, but we've been pushing for curb to curb, at least 20 to 30 feet around it to minimize just the patches.
Thank you.
But we face a lot of residents coming up just when finishing the work,
Yeah.
saying, I want to switch to gas, I need that gas.
Just say no.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Try to be as much support, but
Okay. I would just, it's a shame. I
good
mean,
question.
Yeah.
that's money spent. and
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
No.
and instead of, the patches are terrible.
You're right.
Your vehicle's going to fall apart.
Right.
Especially for the first period of time, first 30 days at least, maybe a few months, the patches are just cold patch.
Yeah.
Until they're fully
Yeah.
restored.
All right.
Like now we have a whole project for water and sewer.
Mhm.
It's about like 11,000 square feet of patches.
Now I got a
Being
question.
restored.
When we do any type of service, any time or anything like that, and it's not like on a state road, we
Can I
automatically.
just interject? I think it's a good idea to ask Mr. Yandon these questions. Perhaps we could adjourn the meeting first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Thank you. Shut it down.
So
There you go.
I forgot where I was at.